another double chapter of Fairy Tail, and may I say as well, with both of these chapters, have I goddamn been excited and waiting for them to be translated and coming back to see this and all that, and my favorite Dragon King himself. Let's get into it with Fire 22 and Fire 23, because definitely there is a lot of stuff to talk about with this week's double chapter going into this stuff, especially the ending of 523. But let's start at the beginning, shall we, as we always do. Gotta say, I definitely did love a lot of the color pages that we did get throughout this chapter, and I gotta say I feel a little bit sad. I know, like, if anything, this is like the whole dedicated thing for Fairy Tail, as it's getting like 2 panels, but I kind of like help but feel sad as well that this is also as well another series like ending in the magazine as well, like Yamada and something, which is, so I can't help to say a little bit about that, saying like, you know, the last chapter and all that, and I'm kind of glad something on there. If anything and all that, I love me some Fairy Tail, you guys know that, and I, you know, it got the front cover, but then again, I still think there's something in the final chapter that I still think it maybe should have had, like, deserved the final chapter. It got a big chunk out of, like, of the cover and all that, but I still think it should have deserved the whole front, like, cover to itself, and maybe Natsu being on the sidelines. I know that sounds weird and all that for a Fairy Tail channel to be saying that, but even still and all that, a lot of the information, as we've already talked about in numerous videos, though, about the spoilers, about the movie coming out, and we got, like, a lot more better details coming out now that we've seen a bunch of this stuff, and I'm, like, excited. Like, I really am looking forward to this, the movie. I can't, like, I don't know, apart from everything else I've said about it, it's like, you know, I'd said multiple things about Dragon Cry, whereas, like, I've been looking forward to it. We finally get to see what the anime is going to be looking like, some of the character designs. I'm looking forward to it, and especially, like, it continues straight off right where Gray and Zeref were, and exactly where he was talking to him saying, you know a lot about Azera, surprisingly, and he's like, I keep up to date with every single person that's, like, involved in Natsu's life. Lucy, where he even said, like, you know, she's the person that's had a great impact on Natsu's upbringing. Same thing with Happy. I know about Urza, Wendy, Gaji. I know every major opponent for mine, and it's just like, you know full well what I want, Gray. Like, I want maybe. So I'm not surprised, like, he's telling this, and he's like, even, like, as well, Gray's like, why are you telling me this sort of stuff and all that? And he's just like, why do you have that, like, huge power and immortality and all that? Why do you need the ability of thirst? Which is, like, the biggest question, where a lot of this, like, you've got immortality and you've got an army, why not use that to fight Acnologia with? And it's just like, oh, by the way, that just isn't enough from what it sounds like. That he needs more. He needs the power of the thirst, especially. He's like, he even explaining that his true goal isn't such like an instant like feat that is just taking Theory out of everywhere. So he's like, no, this is going to be scaling the world, and especially when Gray hears this, although like Bill and we didn't get to see it like from our own sector, it's clearly see like Gray was quite shook up by this and saying, this is something that's going to be greatly affected, whereas, like, this is his plans and what he's going to be using with the Thirst, and the fact that he says, like, the Thirst's magic is too dangerous, and I'm wondering, like, if what happens to Mavis is, like, she, like, is something, if she goes crazy, or she, like, loses it or something, does that mean she's, like, a risk to, like, everyone lose, like, you know, like, getting, like, attacked, or, like, even her, and all that, like, she could be an entire danger for Yori for all we mad, like, so that's a very interesting thing that they're kind of setting up with the whole Mavis situation. But when we went to, like, see with August and Gildarts, like, yo, like, when he was immediately going in, he wasn't pulling no punches, taking off the coat, let's go. I want to fight August, and he immediately using his crash magic, like, dispelling him all around it, like, telling him to Q's kind of like what we saw in Temurajin with what he did with Natsu, and he's just like, he's there, and he's just like, huh. Like, as he's being disintegrated, he's like, well, this is quite an amusing magic that you had. And he's like, this really honestly isn't enough just to even phase me. As he's just like, but like, uses just his fist just to take, like, Gildas, like, into, like, the ground. He's just like, you can't win against me. And the fact that Kana is getting involved in this fight as well, that was like, he was like, huh, like, don't come closer and all that, Kana and all that, you know, my daughter and all that. And he's like, oh, father and daughter, huh? And he's just like, that's where he starts grinning and having a really creepy thing going, father and daughter. So if anything, like, maybe that might result back to, like, Brandish, maybe that might go back to that. Like, maybe that's why he took such a, like, you know, like a huge, like, sort of thing into, like, Brandish. Maybe that sort of reminds him of his own, like, children and all that. Like, it's just like, this might be the final, like, actual time that he's gonna get, like, something about his own backstory. So I'm gonna be interested in, like, what we're gonna be having for August, especially. Now it's like, this is like a perfect time to, like, finally address, like, a little bit about August now that we're having this fight. And the fact is, like, you know, I'm really looking forward to it. And the whole thing with Gray at the end of the chapter, he's like, like I can't like repent for the things I've done, like especially that I attacked Natsu, especially like I went crazy, like I can't redeem that, and this is the one way I can do it. And it's like I don't care, like, you know, like who he is and all that, you know, he's E.N.D. I wanted an excuse just to blame something and all that for the death of like my parents and all that, and that someone was E.N.D. But it's like, after finding out he was Natsu and all that, I care more about those who are still alive than like the people, like, you know, the pride of those people that are dead. And like, they're my friends, and I ain't gonna do that to them. And especially with like where I was really, I'm not gonna lie, when I did 522 when he was doing like he immediately went into Ice Shell, and there it was like, well, you're gonna use Ice Shell, but then he started adding like lost like magic attribute to it, and I was like, wait, where the fuck did this come from? Like, I was like, okay, seriously, like Fairy Tail sometimes doesn't, like a lot of the times I even say doesn't explain like, okay, how the fuck they get this, or where the fuck did this come from, this power. At least I can say with Fly 23 is Destiny Burning, I really do appreciate they actually did address the fact that it's like, how did like Gray actually end up getting like lost attribute powers? Like, how did he get this kind of thing? And it's like, by using the lost attribute, and he's like, yeah, this is one way to do it. I can't kill you because that will kill like Natsu, but I can definitely make sure I can seal you and make sure that there's going to be a future for people. And he's like, I'm gonna come back to know that. And he's like, no matter what and all that, how long you're frozen, this will give people time and all that. They'll be happy, there'll be hope. And I'm thinking, like, if anything and all that, Gray is not thinking about the big picture here for the most part. Like, I do, like, it's like he's obviously like trying to redeem himself in his own way, where it's like, I've attacked the guild, I've attacked Natsu, this is my own one way to kind of redeem myself. And he even knows, he's like, I know this life doesn't belong to me. So if anything and all that, people like, you know, I was coming at Gray a couple of times and all that, saying like, man, Gray, you acting so fucking stupid sometimes and all that. The way that he's going, it's like, you know, you just talk things out. But the way that he's like, I appreciate that, where like other characters are like, no, fuck you, this is like justice, this is one my revenge. This is something where Gray, it takes a, like, honestly, you don't see that a lot in characters like this, where it's like, they know how much they fucked up and they think this is the only way to go. Like, you know, this is the only way to go after I fucked up this bad. It's like, I'm just, you know, I'm going to lay my life down. It's like, and the worst thing is that the fact is, like, he's going to use the lost attribute where it's like, no one's going to remember him. Like, he's like, no one has to remember me. Like, with this power, it'll also erase my existence from everyone's, like, memories and all that. And it's just like, my whole existence is going to go into, like, this one move. And that, like, if anything, I was like, that was sending something into it. And, like, honestly, I would say if that was a solid chapter, I'd be like, what the fuck, how did he get the lost attribute, if anything, and all that. And a lot of that, like, from what we was going from it, like, even with the whole context, all of that helped a lot more with that. So, like, if anything, this was a lot more makes sense why this was a double chapter. And he's just like, you know, and I appreciate, like, it started off with 523. He said, like, he learned this kind of stuff and all that, like, even for his job and all that, when he was there, like, they're going with the Avatar, like, gang and all that, like, when he was there, that was, like, how he was actually able to get, like, that power. So I was like, oh, thank God that was something, at least, you know, like, I guess, like, it's kind of sad to say, like, oh, Avatar thought he did something good. It gave us context, like, if anything, to, like, what we got to see with Gray. Like, I definitely appreciate that. Although, when they were talking about the power of magic enhanced by the lost attribute is like 100 times stronger than normal, I definitely gotta say, if that bit is like, it would have been a lot cooler. Honestly, the only time we've ever really seen it a lot of the time is when we saw like a bunch of the people that had lost magic during like the Tenrojima Islands, like sort of stuff. Like, that was the only time we ever saw anything of that matter. And I gotta say, like, I wish there was more context to it. Like, if anything, that's what I wanted. Like, and that's one thing that Fairy Tail, I think, I could even happily admit as like a fan of that. Context goes a long way with its fights. Like, and I'm not just talking with just character. I think like context with fights and all that, and techniques and all that, it helps a lot if you get like sometimes an explanation. Even if there's a couple of pages or two and all that, it only helps. And he's like, even the fact that he was going in is like, this is the end, Zereth. I'm gonna end this right now. It's like, he's like, you can't, it won't kill me. It's like, that's why I'm gonna seal you for eternity. I'm gonna make sure and all that. It's like, to the piece. And I'm like, when I mentioned that, it's like, this is kind of being a bit close-minded of like Gray. The fact is as well that, you know, why didn't you get, like, obviously he didn't know Acnologia was going to come back, but it's like, he's like, this would have been a good time to use something for like Acnologia and all that. Like, you know, why didn't you use him in there? And then I'm sure with a lot of people getting a little bit pissed off at first is that, of course, Natsu came in to interrupt this, and where he's like, stop it, and then like immediately where like it's like when you think like, oh god, here we go, fucking, you know, Gray is gonna be there again, like, you know, he's gonna mess this up. But it's the fact that like the whole emotional part of this chapter was when you saying, you bastard, did you forget and all that, like, you know, I stopped you from doing this once already, and it's just like, I don't care and all that, you know, like, you know, I was blinded by my rage and all that, I tried to kill you guys, and like, there's no longer a place for me in this guild after this and all that, and it's like, in that way, I'm the same with you, and like, Natsu just starts crying, saying, Gray, we're friends, aren't we? Like that, and that kind of got me, like, seeing that, but like, even the fact that like Lucy and like Happy were there watching this, and like saying like, please don't die, like the Gray and all that, and it's just like, stop thinking about dying, live, you got things to live for and all that. And it's like, even if you defeat Xerath and all that, it's like, you're still, win or lose and all that, you'll still die, and that's a cruel part. And he's just like, as he's like there, and I talked a lot about my spot as well, I got really hyped up when I saw that panel of him where he's talking about like when he's just there burning up, and he's just like, that looks reminds me so much of like the Phantom Wars kind of like panel. He's like, hate and all that, something like that, I'm gonna burn it to ashes, bring it on, and it's like, you're gonna be fine after all and all that, like, and the fact that even Xerath's gonna get serious and all that, he's taking off the cloak, he's like, I'll bring it on the suit, I've got no other choice and all that, I'm a human who's cursed, who's accepted thing, and I had no other choice and all that, and that's why it's called fate, and I've got to deal with it. But the ending of that chapter though, when you just see your boy, my boy, Acnologia going, I am bored with this world, Black Magician. I am tired. You have not given me anything so far. Where is my entertainment? Where are you giving to me? And the fact that Acnologia finally is getting involved. Although the fact that I think Urza's being up on the thing, that was another thing I had to like a pet peeve with the chapters. Like, you should not be up, Urza. You should be on the fucking floor. You should be on the fucking floor with the whole 9-heart thing. Stay the fuck down. I don't want to see you moving. I want to see you dragging and limping on the fucking floor at this point. And the fact that even August noticed it and all that, saying like, we're out of time. This is where like even August noticed this and he's like, this is a problem. We've actually got to deal with this now. Like, I like the fact that someone like him is like, yeah, we need to do this right now. So other than that, like, I absolutely love both chapters. I will say, if anything, the second chapter was a lot more stronger than the first one. Although the first one helped a lot more, and I appreciate like the first one a little bit more when you got context to the second chapter of like, this is how he was able to do the Lost Ice magic, and especially like the two paid off. And I think like, if anything, if we waited a week for this and all that, a lot of people, yeah, we knew, yeah, he wasn't going to use Ice Shell. I think a lot more people would have been bitter about that chapter, but I think like having it as a double bill and the fact that, you know, you ended off good. We had something that we've been wanting for a while now. Acnologia, he's finally there. He's finally, after this so long, like, we want to see that. And plus as well, there was multiple things I liked about the chapter. There was nostalgic stuff and all that I kind of had when we saw, we was talking, like, Natsu was talking about fate, and it was like, it really reminded me of like over a couple of hundred chapters ago, like stuff like that. In fact, that even you see Natsu like burning up like through there, so like that could show as well and all that. You know, he's got something like up his sleeve and all that. Like, you know, he might try and do something more. Maybe he's gonna try to force the Dragon King mode again. I want to see a lot of things of what exactly he's gonna be doing and all that. But and the fact that is like, you got Acnologia there. That, like, you could have had that as a single panel. Like, you could have had, like, a page of just Urza taking a shit in the woods. Like, just like my mother, Irene. And it's just like, no. As long as you see that shit, and I mean shit-eating grin that he had, he was enjoying it. But I even said as well as, how the fuck are they gonna get out of that? Like, you know, even if we know Urza and Wendy are not like gonna survive that, like, how the fuck are they gonna get out of like Acnologia there? Like, it's like August gonna get involved at that point. Is Xerath and all that, like, is he gonna get called attention to, like, you know, Xerath, and it's like Natsu's like, you know, come here. So one way or another and all that, they're gonna have to get the fuck out of there some way. And regardless of all that, seeing like, you know, I'm more curious seeing like how the fuck they're gonna get out of that, because either A, like Acnologia is like, I can easily wipe you out right now. There's no fucking fun in this. I might as well go for a juicy opponent right now, because trust me, I've had nothing from bitches from that side, from the Spriggans. I've had a Serena. That ain't enough. Irene was toying with me, like just dicking around. I want a challenge. give me that, like, give me that fight I want, like, Zereth and all that. You know I want that. You love it, like that. And it's like, I love that part. Like, you can tell a lot from just, like, even, like, a couple of panels of that in the logo. It's like, you know exactly what he wants. He's excited. He's like, I'm here, and I can get what I've been promised to. Give it to me now. I want this. And I kind of, if anything, I would have loved it if he came in his actual dragon form first, like instead of like his humanoid one. I love both forms, but I would have loved it if he just came in the dragon form, but it's just like wrecking town and all that. I would have loved that, but even still, I love the second chapter. I'm excited. I need more Fairy Tail and all that, and I can't wait for the Black Future that's coming out in 5/24. But hopefully for the Fairy Tail fans, it'll be a bright future of that. So that's all from me. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. That's all from me. Thank you as always, and I'll see you guys though next time.